Hello and welcome back to season 2 of the FTL podcast. And as you could have noticed in my starting graphic here, which I do need to change, it says for the love of no, it says for the love of guitars. So there's two ofs in there thanks to Canva and whatever crappy AI they have running. So could everybody on good levels. Brandy said good levels. Alright. Let's get this party started. So, again, like I just said, season 2, I took a brief hiatus, and along with Ubie, he never takes a hiatus. He's always there. So, who is with me today? We have the pentatonic prince, the slick finger son of Sam, the man who picks his strings more than he picks his nose, the Ubie. Welcome back, Ubie.
I don't. That last one. That may not land. You don't see me when I'm off camera. I like the pentatonic one though, because I'm all about that. If you ever watch my streams, that's pretty much. I just throw a backing track on and play a pentatonic scale over it. There's no skill or anything involved in it. It's all rote memorization.
So you're saying that you pick your nose more than your strings? I mean, what if I would have thrown in there the man who picks his strings more than he picks his butt?
Yeah, you probably that one's okay. That one's probably all right. It's just so big, it's hard to reach around to it.
So gross. I'm sorry for everybody on the stream that had to hear that and kind of get that picture out of your head.
You got laughs from that. You're all good, buddy.
So along with me, we have Jeremy from StringsNPucks channel. Welcome back, Jeremy. We had him on. Was it last time, right?
I don't know. It's been so long ago. When was the last time you actually?
There he is.
I'm so. Yeah, I think my internet's taking up, so I'm going to make some adjustments here. But it's good to be back, guys. Always good to be back.
Awesome. So before we get rolling today, we do have a pretty big, and it's going to be a fun topic, but I just wanted to get out of the way a couple of things. I have an announcement to make that neither Ubie or Jeremy are privy to. You ready for it?
Yeah.
Yep.
All right, so the big announcement that I have today is I have a look 2 yards join the stream. I am now a Sweetwater affiliate, so you'll see that I have links in my videos for Sweetwater. So if you are not gonna buy anything from Zounds, I know Brian has a Zounds affiliate as well. So if you don't see what you want there, we're gonna go to Sweetwater as a second resort, or if you're buying from them currently, I would appreciate it if you click that link for the Sweetwater purchases you make, and you click Brian's link for the Zounds link.
Wow, that's impressive. I don't know exactly how you pulled that up.
Well, we don't know either. I did talk to Brian about this whole thing. The whole affiliate thing is wishy-washy, I feel, with a lot of the companies. There's no set, at least I don't think, there's not a set, hey, you have to meet this goal to make everything to meet our standards. I think there's a lot of human factors that go with it, and a lot of the stuff that you had on your channel. Who knows, but we both tried around the same time, and for some reason they allowed me. Now, does it matter in the long run? I don't think so. I've made one sale off of my affiliate link so far, and that was the sale that I purchased myself. So it was a string swing. So I'm seeing a big paycheck of 68 cents come into my bank account at some point. But this is a start. This is my first big announcement. I've had it for about a month now. Like I said, I did talk to Brian about it, and he was like, man, you just got to go ahead and announce it. So there we go. I have a Sweetwater affiliate, so if you are going to buy any of your gear, strings, and picks, sorry, they don't sell hockey pucks, but if you wanted to buy a hockey puck, use Ted's Amazon affiliate through to get your hockey pucks.
Not buying Amazon hockey pucks.
But yeah, that's the announcement I have, and we're getting the ball rolling again. With season 2, I had a brief vacation and a little switch up in my schedule, but now we're back to rolling, so it's good to be back. It's really good to be back.
Yeah, for sure.
All right. Absolutely. Well, I mean, the reason it's good to be back, I had to pick up a new topic for today, and this is something. The topic is music geniuses, and let's just get it out the way. It's in the title, music geniuses, and a little bit of a backstory. My dad and I, back in the day, whenever we would get together, as I was an adult, would listen to music, throw back a few beers and just talk about just all kinds of music. My dad grew up in Hoboken, New Jersey, and this was in the 60s and 70s, and was exposed to everything. I mean, he had Jimi Hendrix albums. He was there for them. He didn't see Jimmy, but he was around that time. The Stones, Jimmy, the Beatles, all the big bands were there. Even the old, doo-wop bands from the 50s and 60s he still remembers. And we would talk about music geniuses, and we would, come to an agreement. A lot of my musical tastes stem from my dad's kind of music collection and his vinyl collection. I didn't really dig into his vinyl collection until, I was in my late 20s and 30s, but a lot of good stuff there that I haven't listened to previously. Ranging all genres, ranging from reggae to salsa, because of Puerto Rican, heritage of mine. I'm 100% Puerto Rican, so I grew up listening to a lot of Spanish music, a lot of Puerto Rican salsa, and merengue. Let me say it right: salsa y merengue. But we're not going to be touching. At least I'm not going to be touching that. That aspect in this topic here as far as musical geniuses, because that's a different rabbit hole, and probably not going to be touching on many. I don't know. Look, here's the way this went. I said, hey, this is the topic. I just threw it out to Ubie and Jeremy yesterday and said, put together a list of your 5 artists that you think are musical geniuses that are not like Mozart. Let's stay within kind of a modern era of music here, because we could say Beethoven, Mozart, Bach, all these guys. Yeah, they're geniuses, but come on, man. We're here to talk about guitar stuff. We're not here to talk about cellos and violins, even piano stuff, because I have a feeling Jeremy might throw out some Billy Joel, but I don't know. I haven't seen his list. So, and rightfully so if you do. So how do I want to approach this here today? How do I want to approach this? Let's start.
Sucks being the person who actually runs the podcast and you have to make all the choices, huh?
Yeah, I know. Here's what I'm gonna do. The list that I wrote down a lot, and I'm only gonna pick 5, and then we're gonna have time for honorable mentions, because I'm pretty sure there's gonna be plenty.
Eddie,
artists. There's the cat. Eddie. Eddie, is that the cat's name?
Eddie.
Addie. It's short for Adeline. It's Addie.
Addie.
Two plates of treats.
But Brian is going to be an honorable mention on all 3 of our lists. You didn't. I mean, if he just said I must have made all 3 lists, he'll be an honorable mention. But yeah,
Brian, you've made plenty of lists in your lifetime.
I mean, he's made the list of the most handsome boy, according to one of his people that he gets products from, but which is the funniest freaking comment I've heard. You're a very handsome boy, Brian. But yeah, I feel like when you're putting everything and lumping people into the genius category, so to speak, there's not going to be a top, 5 list for me, at least. Maybe you guys have ranked them. I don't want to put ranks on these. I'm just going to throw these out. So, to get the ball rolling, though, if we're all ready to go ahead and jump right into it, Jeremy, I want to hear what you have. Let's do one each.
Absolutely.
We'll just roll through one each.
I did bring props, so of course I did pick Billy Joel for my first one, and my approach to this was innovation, staying power, what they could do as a musician, but what also they might have done within the industry. So Billy Joel, this is volume 1 of 2 of Billy Joel Complete. It's half of the albums he wrote before River of Dreams. So this has 6 albums worth of music on it, right? And he did write the music. He didn't just sit down and throw it together. His diversity from Cold Spring Harbor through River of Dreams, into 2000 was incredible. He really, man, he lived the life of it. His first recording contract was for Groceries and Rent. That was under the Cold Spring Harbor album. Then 1976, the reason he wrote Piano Man is he wanted to start making money. So he sat out his contracts, got a job at a piano bar, wrote that entire album from the experience there. And I think Piano Man changed music. I mean, they still play it, obviously, but there was this was Bob Dylan meets melodic rock. Very good pastoral, descriptive lyrics meshed with strong musical content. And I think that you say Billy Joel, everyone knows who you're talking about, and they can think of something they like about him.
I agree with that. I didn't pick him because I knew that you were going to pick him.
Right. I also did that. I didn't pick Steve Vai because I'm counting on you to pick Steve Vai.
Nah, he wasn't even an honorable mention. Which because look, when I'm thinking of musical geniuses, there to me when I'm thinking about it, it's an aspect that is not necessarily pure technical ability, which is Steve Vai has that in spades. Do people know who Steve Vai is, other than people that are really into guitars? I really
Crossroads.
don't.
Like our generation. Ubie
Our generation, yeah. But, you know, the thing, what's his most famous song? For the Love of God? Nobody knows that song outside of, I mean, yeah. You put
He's
on
worked
any,
with Lee Roth, maybe. But
yeah.
Surfing with the Alien may be a bigger hit, to be honest.
Oh,
But-
yeah.
But you can't compare Steve Vai to Billy Joel. Billy Joel has hits and hits and hits, and the thing that distinguishes it, and this is a good point that I wanted to make, was I would pick Billy Joel and put him on the list, and I personally wouldn't pick Elton John because he didn't write most of his songs. He's a fantastic
Right.
composer as far as taking the words and making music out of it, but
I
he's
played both equally.
on the
growing
edge
up.
to me. Yeah,
Right. I think that Elton John, culturally, you had the Brit pop. He spanned a lot of things: glam rock, Brit pop, rock and roll, yacht rock. Now he's doing music mostly with other bands, collaborations. But when it comes to the sheer creation of music and execution of it, soup to nuts, as they used to say, I think Billy Joel has every aspect of what I'd be looking for.
yes, that's a very valid point, and I agree with that. I mean, when you look on the back of an album, you see written, composed, produced, performed, all those in one. That says something, and that's what Billy Joel has. I mean, the funniest thing about Billy Joel, what that I've ever seen was on Family Guy. I know that's gone through its paces, and I'm not a fan of it anymore. But the whole, remember the invention of music with the cavemen? Have you seen that skit?
I didn't see it. No,
You got to
doggone
watch it. It's with the
Make
is
it a
it
note.
called for the love of mine, or is it
Oh,
time?
for the longest time.
For the longest time, that's what it is. I'll send you a link, or just search
Thank you.
Family Guy for the longest time, and it's freaking hilarious.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I would agree. Would you agree there, Ubie?
What that is a genius? Yeah, for sure.
Billy Joel. Yeah.
I mean, if we wanted to, if as long as you skip that whole '80s doo-wop, sure, I'm in.
Okay. I mean, he's got a vast catalog of other stuff, but yeah, that's one of my favorite
for
songs.
sure. Well, he got Christy Brinkley with that, so I think it's got a valid purpose.
Whatever. Yeah, that's why we all play guitar, right? To get the
A
chicks.
5'5" Jewish guy from Long Island gets a 6-foot model from Michigan. I think he did his job.
Yeah, but you realize he's not a guitarist. You wouldn't call him specifically a guitarist. If you're playing
started
guitar
as
to get
heavy
women,
metal.
that's not. I know, but he's not known as a guitarist. He didn't
Not
get picked
close.
because he was a guitarist.
This list doesn't have to be guitarists, right?
No,
But-
absolutely
But that's
not.
a good point, Ubie.
But yeah, you're right.
No. This musical geniuses don't necessarily need to be
Yeah.
guitarists. I hope so because I have some non-guitarists on my list. So.
But yeah,
Oh,
I mean, you said you held him as the same kind of level. I don't know, as Elton, but I mean, I would put him slightly above Elton. I like their
I
music
put
the
him
same.
way above Elton.
Yeah, I like their music the same, probably. But yeah, genius. Yeah, Billy Joel.
As a genius, yeah.
There's not going to be any arguments there from I feel like both of us. So I guess we could move on. I mean, who do you have,
Yeah.
Ubie?
Mine are not ranked either, but if we want to stay in this pool, so to speak, Prince would be mine. Now everybody knows him as a pop star, but
yeah.
as a guitarist, he could literally do it all. He could shred, he could play funk, he could play soul, and all of those with kind of his own unique voice. I mean, if you've heard Prince play guitar, you know it's Prince playing guitar. And then you take that, he was a genius just on guitar, and then take everything he did from the rest of his career And so if you want to talk about the complete total package type genius, then Prince, man, I got to say, is one of the geniuses, especially of our time.
Absolutely.
All right. I'm not a fan of Prince. This is a hot take. I'm just not. Um, and just thusly, so I'm not gonna lump Prince into that category personally. I'm not a fan of his music. I don't think he's that great of a guitar player. Look, he's probably better than me. I'm just saying that. I think he's overrated as a guitar player. Um, and I don't know. I mean, Prince. Maybe it was just a generational thing or whatever. I know the hits when Doves Cry and was it Purple Rain and all that. That's not my jam. It is not my jam. I'm just not a Prince fan. I don't know what else to say.
I
Michael
think that's a
Jackson's
fair
more of a
point.
musical genius than Prince, in my opinion. And
I
Wow.
love that you
Okay.
brought up Michael Jackson because those two were at odds with each other. And in fact, it's rumored that Prince didn't show up for We Are the World because Michael Jackson was there. Like these guys, their careers had such different paths. But here's where I landed with Prince because at first, and I get to college, there are guys that were worshiping him, right? So I go to college in 1995. Um, and I didn't get it. I knew the music. Then I actually started isolating the guitar lines. And then years later, I've never seen the movie Purple Rain, I'll be honest. My wife watches it. It was free on whatever. And she comes to me and says, I think this is partly biopic.
yeah,
And it was in part based on his life. His ability to map out music and then also to cling to a culture. He's one from Minnesota, I think. So he's technically like a Midwest kid, but you wouldn't guess that from the presentation he came up with. And his total ability to create, to execute, and to cling into a genre and become in the MTV generation, I guess,
yeah,
hit a peak. It's impressive, but I can see why you'd
yeah.
be
I mean,
kind of drawn on it.
Well,
so,
okay, but to make a counterpoint to you, Keith, and again, this is all subjective. Tooth brought up a very important thing in the comments. Prince was able to play over 27 different instruments. And when we say play, we're not saying could play Mary Had a Little Lamb on it. We're talking to a level of proficiency on them. That is that is a direct sign of a musical genius, just simply because of the disparity of how you approach playing one instrument versus the other. Like guitar and piano is fairly similar in some of your stylistic choices and the like, but when you start moving to like brass instruments or the stuff, it's completely foreign from playing music, say on a stringed instruments or those sort of things. So that alone really is one of those things that really shows how much of a genius he is. And he also, just like we talked about the others, he wrote, composed,
yeah,
arranged, did a lot of the editing and engineering work alongside of the
yeah,
engineers on his albums and those sort of stuff.
Yeah,
So I don't personally, I won't, I don't have any Prince in my playlist. He's not a go-to for me for music to listen to. It's not that I don't dislike it. It's just, as you say, it's not my jam. But I can definitely see the musical genius behind the person.
yeah. I mean, look, and I don't want to hang up on this one for too long, but I got to say
yeah,
my piece here. Look, he could play
yeah.
27 instruments. He could write, produce, compose, everything, mix all his songs, but I just don't like his songs. You could do whatever you want. You could be a
It's fair.
genius at all this stuff. I just don't enjoy it. He's not in my playlist either
Well,
because
see,
it's
and
just
that's
not.
fair.
Yeah,
It's fair.
That's
Totally
fair
fair.
yeah.
because I can see the musical genius of the Beatles, and I
hmm
can't stand to listen to a single one of their songs.
See, yeah, and
Yeah.
and and I'll go ahead and bring up my next one. It's not the Beatles. I wanted to leave the Beatles out of this purposefully
Leave
because
the
that's
Beatles out of this.
it's the default. You can't, John and Paul are musical geniuses. I don't want to spend time debating that point. I mean, I think it's if anybody wants to say that those two as songwriters weren't, then mm, you know, get out of here. You know,
They got it.
whether
They
you like
understood it, and they got it.
whether you like them or not, you know, I want to keep them out. But I'm gonna go ahead and throw mine in here, and this is one that I know that everybody's gonna say, yeah, of course you're going to. But Jimi Hendrix is musical genius, and that's my first pick here. Again, not in any ranking order, but the reason he is obviously changed the way the instrument was played. You know, but I don't want to rehash the story because I feel like everybody knows that story. But if I do want to hear counterpoints, like if first, do you guys agree? Would you put him into that category?
I do. I do absolutely. I mean, he was musically illiterate. He
He's
couldn't read music,
he is
but
a very divisive figure nowadays with time, right? Back
right.
in he died in 1970, I believe, and
So
there's
young too.
enough time has passed to where people have. I mean, there's a lot of better guitar players out there now, tons, but you know, a lot of people have been like, is he overrated? I don't think he's an overrated guitarist by any means, or composer for that matter. So I mean,
Try
Ubi,
mimicking him.
do you have? You can't. Nobody can mimic Jimmy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah, so it's impossible to downplay his contributions to guitar playing, especially in the modern age. So for that reason alone, would I call him a genius? It's for the stuff he did, absolutely.
Yeah.
Now he didn't do anything that you would, a big technical person or a
Mm-hmm.
massive composer type person would want to necessarily break down. But that's not necessarily what being a musical genius is about. If you can take what you're playing, the instrument you're playing, and the type of music you're playing, and put something into it that's absolutely not just brand new, but is completely different from anything anybody else is doing, and make it work, then it's hard not to call you a genius for what you've done there. So I
Right.
absolutely agree that I would put him on the list of
Yeah.
geniuses.
I mean, look, Band of Gypsies. I mean, if he only put that album out, that live album of all things, it was a freaking live album. If you get the double set live at the Fillmore East or the DVD, the documentary, it's just like, okay, yeah, I see where you're coming from. That guy he could mix. Or he look, yeah, just what he did out in the studio with his guitars and the textures and the tones and all that kind of stuff on top of the live stuff is just amazing. Now I know that Eddie Van Halen wasn't a huge fan of Jimmy because he was a sloppy player according to EVH, and yeah,
That's
it's
rich
fine.
coming from Eddie.
What was that?
That's a rich comment coming from Eddie because some of his stuff is very sloppy too.
Well, that's a quote that I've read. Maybe it's wrong, but you could fact check
No,
me
it's
there.
probably right.
Yeah,
Just because you think that you're precise doesn't mean that you are. So I mean, some of his work and was sloppy. By being sloppy, it was better. That's
yeah,
not a knock on Eddie, but he was definitely not your virtuoso technical
yeah.
super perfect guy.
Jimmy messed up all the time live, and I like it. I like the mistakes because he's quintessential rock god. He was I mean, before him was Eric Clapton. Is God. The famous spray painting thing. But then Jimmy came around, wrecked everybody's worlds. The quintessential rock god, but he was fallible. He was making mistakes, and that made it artificially attainable by aspiring guitarists. I say artificially because to Jeremy's point, try to replicate Jimi Hendrix. You can't.
Yeah, it's almost impossible.
Andy Alador could kind of do it. I don't know if you're familiar with him.
Stevie Ray Vaughan based his blues style on Hendrix.
And
That
and
was his inspiration for blues.
and Steve Ray Vaughan didn't make my list, not even honorable mentions, because I mean, he's one of my top artists of all time, but he's kind of a one-trick pony for the most part, in my opinion. I love Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Yeah,
But
we'll be revisiting that in a couple.
okay, we could do that. And look, I have both ways on this one, but we're gonna do this now
He
reverse order.
he made my list, but not my actual top my
Yeah.
five that I have.
He
here,
would be
so.
he's in my top 10 list of all-time favorite artists, but I'm not going to lump him in as a musical genius personally, but we could talk about that later because I'm going to move on and then we're going to go in reverse order back. So my next one to kind of switch things up would be Al Green.
Oh, interesting. Yeah,
Okay.
never know. Yeah.
Al
Okay.
Green. Dude, that guy, him and his guitar. You talk about guitar playing. Al Green didn't play guitar, but he co-wrote a lot of his songs with his guitarist, and that guy is a wonderful guitarist to begin with. But dude, Al Green just wrote so many freaking hits in a time, and I was kind of like torn because I was thinking about this R&B thing. I'm thinking torn between Al Green and Marvin Gaye. I think they're both musical geniuses, but if I wanted to put one in the top five, I'm gonna pick Al Green because his catalog is just freaking amazing. If you're into that type of music, yeah, which you should be if you are into guitar music, because there's tons of good guitar in that. I forget the guy's name that co-wrote the songs with him and played guitar, but dude, freaking amazing. All his stuff. I mean, you could just look at a list. I mean, what do you have? What are your opinions on that? I mean, Jeremy, you had a reaction to that.
Yeah, honestly, Al Green is so smooth, and I'm thinking of "Let's Stay Together." I
Yeah,
think
let's stay. Love and happiness.
yeah,
I mean,
it's like you say the name, and I immediately started bobbing to a song. Like a song hits,
mm-hmm.
and I start nodding, and I think that to be lodged in someone's subconscious like that, when I haven't heard him in probably, let's say, a year easily, but I love the way his music makes you feel. I love the way I can just listen to it. I don't have to break it down, but it sticks, and it sticks for a lot of good reasons. And I've slow danced with my wife to Al Green, right? Growing up.
It's classics. Those are just R&B classics, and
Love it.
you could pick. Look, I'll just go through some of the top songs here. Let's Stay Together. We mentioned that. For the Good Times, Simply Beautiful. You probably don't know all that, but everybody knows Love and Happiness, and then How Do You Mend a Broken Heart? I mean, what didn't? Oh yeah, Here I Am. Come and take me by the hand. You know that song? Come and take me by the hand. I mean, so many, and he wrote those songs, and he was a freaking excellent.
DMCA and copyright strike coming in.
Then strike the hell out of me.
That was perfect. I mean, you think it's absolutely spot
You know what?
on.
This
Nope,
sultry Al Green voice. I mean, why am I not number one in the R&B charts? I don't know, but I mean, Ubie, do you have opinions on that, or are you just kind of neutral, or?
I'm neutral on his music because it's way out of my genre.
Okay.
But if I look at some of the people that I like, I would be not surprised to see Al Green as influenced to a lot of the stuff that I like, and that's actually a big check towards whether somebody would be considered a musical genius or not. So I don't have the depth of experience with the songs and like to give you a personal, I think they're a genius or not, but the name is a name I know, even if I don't know the music very well. So that also is another check in their favor.
Okay. Well, in their favor. Then why don't you go ahead and let's hear what you got next.
I'm going to skip that one. I want to keep that for a little bit later. Let's go low-hanging fruit. We go Randy Rhoads, simply because he's one of my absolute all-time guitar influences, for example. And mainly because it was crazy what he did, because he was one of the first that really brought in flavoring metal in the 80s with a hard classical influence. I mean, especially if you can listen to some of his stuff, for example, go and listen to some of the throwaway stuff that he done, like the acoustic stuff like D, which obviously is a song he wrote for his wife. It was the first song I personally learned start to finish on acoustic. It's more classical music than anything else, and it's not just classical, it's good classical music if you actually do any sort of understanding of production and theory and the whole nine yards. And then he would merge that into his seamlessly into those blistering riffs and powerful stuff that he was doing with Quiet Riot and with Ozzy. And it just basically taking that he was one of the first real technical guys on the scenes, if you want to think about it, because of the like I said, the technical theory mastery and all that sort of stuff that he brought into this metal genre that before was dominated. Not that Iommi, for example, wasn't a technical guy, but he just didn't have the chops to be able to do what Randy did And then not just that Randy had the theory knowledge to put it together, but then to actually do it on a guitar and just do stuff that you just had never dreamed of, much less heard before.
Yeah, I agree. I'm not. Again, he's a little bit more out of my wheelhouse and more in yours, but I agree. Like, he technically amazing. And creates creatively amazing. The way he sounds, his tone, amazing. Tons of people copy it. I mean, I have that Randy Rhoads guitar pedal that I won from Brian and Searching for Tone. Shout out to Searching for Tone. Please subscribe to him. If you are not, then what the hell are you doing here? But I won the Randy Rhoads guitar pedal from his channel, and the first thing I try to learn, what's the most famous riff? I forget. I can't. But I
Crazy
learned
Train?
it.
Sound like you were trying to do Crazy Train there.
Crazy
Yeah.
Train, that's what it was. I did Crazy Train, and I was like, oh, and then I was watching documentaries on him. I was like, damn, that guy is good. So I got a little brief thing when I got that pedal, which, by the way, is a freaking amazing pedal, and no wonder it was going to be gouged up because there was a limited run of it, and luckily I won it from Brian. And there's a good reason because
I strongly suggest you go and listen to D. The name of the song is D.
Okay.
If you've never heard it. It's an acoustic, just a short acoustic piece he wrote for his wife named Dee.
Is he singing it?
No singing, nothing at all. Now, if you listen to the album version, he actually cuts two versions of it. It's actually a studio session where he's sitting there, records it through. He's like, it's getting smoother. I want to do another version, and he records it a second time, and you can hear the differences between the two versions.
Okay.
But it's literally a classical guitar piece, and it's just fluid and amazing, and like I said, one of the first pieces I learned on acoustic.
So he's a composer. I mean, do you have any opinions on that one, Jeremy?
Yeah, honestly, so Randy had a classical upbringing. We've seen interviews with his family, and he applied that knowledge in such a strong, powerful way. And again, this is someone you know, even if you don't know him, like someone who's Randy Rhoads. They might not know the name. Ask them about Crazy Train. Well, if they've been to a sporting event in their life, they know it, and it's almost flawless. Even though he's like leaning on a whammy bar during the solo and detuning it, there's something almost effortless and flawless in his execution. Again, lost him way too young. Johnny Bean, if everyone here is subscribed to Johnny. Johnny did a great segment on Randy Rhoads. I think it was last week. They're reintroducing that pedal. His sister, the estate, gave permission for them to do another one. His fans are so hungry for his stuff but they don't want him exploited, so there's that balance. But again, the passion, anytime they re-release a Jackson or re-release a pedal or an amp, it's going to get consumed quickly. And I think the love of one person's work and the effort and the upbringing that went into it, this is someone who wasn't just playing. He was bred for this, and I think he was just incredible. And Johnny, congratulations. That was a great stream on that.
Cool. Jeremy, you have two in a row.
Yeah.
So let's get two from you. One at a time now. Let's try it.
Yeah. So first, this is the pedal Brian gave me. So he's pretty much given us all stuff.
Not a Dumble?
Not a Dumble, yes. Yeah. And I use it almost all the time now. So my next is... and this
Wait. Brian sent you guys stuff that wasn't broken? All he sent me was a busted groat.
Well, he broke my heart.
There's a joke in there somewhere.
It's because he's a very pretty boy. But so my next one, people know the name, but they might not know the person, Les Paul. Les Paul, this is called Chasing Sound. This was produced by CBS, I think. If you can watch this, watch it. It was his 90th birthday. He is credited with, and this will start fights, creating multi-track recording. Whether or not he invented it, he put it into rampant use, sound-on-sound recording, basically tying two recording machines together with him and Mary Ford. Of course, the Les Paul guitar, I knew what a Les Paul was before I knew who Les Paul was. And I think that innovation and execution has a place even if you don't know his music. I think you hear the name Les Paul, something comes to mind. For me personally, I watch it once a year anymore. He started playing cowboy music, the singing cowboy. He risked his licensing and career to sneak into jazz clubs in Chicago because they were not, he was fined for it. You had to pay fines to the music union for even going to those clubs, let alone playing in them. And he bridged into jazz and blues. He did an album with Chet Atkins, Chester and Lester, that won a Grammy. And then he was still playing into the 80s and 90s and played once a week almost up until he passed away in his late 90s. He didn't make 100, but I mean, he really did everything. He invented things that we use every single day. And if you go listen to his music, you'll be even more impressed with the body of work. So that's my next pick.
I mean, I'm agnostic on this one. I don't know any of his music, so. I mean, it's one of those things I hear a lot about. It's like, you should listen to Les Paul, or he was a great guitarist and this and that, but I don't know that much of the backstory. I might need to watch that DVD.
Please do.
Yeah.
You'll love it. Yeah.
But you also think about it though. You just hit the hammer on the nail on the head. Is that you don't know his music, but you still know he is a massive contribution to music in general and guitar music in specific. So that just his work alone in the music industry outside of being a musician is enough to qualify him as a genius, because some of his products, they're still being used today and being copied today. So that's another thing that would say that you did something right. And then his music, yeah, especially the my exposure to him is that album he did with Chad, and that is some really amazing guitar work on that particular album.
I don't have any counter arguments to that. I mean, I think, I'm thinking about contributions to music. I was thinking about contemplating putting Quincy Jones on there. I mean, he was kind of an artist back in the day, but he's most notably known as a producer. But then I stopped short. He's not, maybe an honorable mention there, but I think maybe Les Paul, and both of them have that same kind of huge contribution to music in general that is hard to kind of put into numbers or anything. Well, I guess with Les Paul you can. Well, you can put anything into numbers. How many albums? Quincy Jones did Thriller with Michael Jackson.
Quincy's got production credit on more #1 Billboard hit albums than any other producer.
He should probably be on this list, but I don't have him. But I don't want to dwell on that one. Jeremy, you want to move on to your next one?
I do. So I did pick Stevie Ray Vaughan.
Okay.
And so you can get this.
I have that book.
So, man, the old tab books. Oh, Lord. Yeah. I love and hate those things. Oh, my God.
So the reason he slips into musical genius for me, apart from his playing, is he's another guy. First, if you're a guitar player, you hear Texas blues as a style. I believe he's the face of Texas blues.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
So him and Jimmy, and you listen to Jimmy Vaughn, you talk about two different styles. I can't believe they're related just hearing them play together. But what Stevie Ray did is, and what Jimmy didn't really love, is he heard what the British guys were doing with the blues and what Jimmy did. And ironically, Jimmy goes to Britain and comes back more famous, right? So he took the British influence to the blues, the Jimi Hendrix specifically, like Voodoo Child, great track of his. But where he doesn't get a ton of credit, his innovation for the instrument, he started working with Takai guitars. He wasn't a Fender guy when he was doing his most popular work around 1984. He had those lipstick pickup guitars. Those were through Takai and not Fender. He never actually got to play his Fender signature. It was released after he passed away. If you can, just irony of ironies. But he was also big in the studio. Don Johnson, the actor, did a studio album. Stevie Ray sat in for him. He sat in with Michael Jackson. He sat in with so many people. So his proficiency in guitar, his music, we might be aging out now. I don't know if a young person is going to automatically hear SRV on the radio or if there is radio anymore. But I heard Pride and Joy. I heard in the MTV generation, If the House is Rockin', and then Riviera Paradise. If you ever heard the story of that song on the album.
Mm-hmm.
So literally they had about 8 minutes of tape left on the reel, and he did a clean take. There's 2 breaks in it where he broke a string where he had to go back and re-record, but it's pretty much a clean take, and when he hit the last note, the tape falls off the reel. The studio engineer swears it. He plotted it out and did it on the fly with double trouble.
Yeah, I'm not gonna. Excuse me. I'm not gonna have any argument there. Yeah, look, that he was a kid when people were talking about him before he got famous. I've seen enough documentaries. I haven't read any books about him, but yeah, he was, 12, 13. People were like, holy shit, like, this kid could play. And I've always said this. In my opinion, Jimmy is the best guitarist of all time. And I've always said that Stevie Ray Vaughan was the best blues guitarist of all time. That's the way I put it. And there's a lot of great blues guitarists out there. I mean, he copped tremendously from Albert King. All the the 3 Kings, but especially Albert.
T-Bone Walker too.
And
Big T-Bone Walker guy.
I think he did it better than all of them.
I agree.
And he put his put on Live at the El Macambo, watch it, and tell me he's not a musical genius. That's my challenge to anybody that would argue against it. So I agree with that. I mean, he's not on my list because there's a lot of other people, but I'm not going to argue against it.
So do you guys remember a couple years ago the TS-10 exploded again in popularity? A pedal nobody wanted for the longest time in the 80s, the Tube Screamer.
Yeah.
And it was because a picture surfaced of his pedal board from a live event where he had a TS-10. People see it. It goes from a $50 pedal to a $500 pedal almost overnight.
Mm-hmm.
I got a 9.
Yep. Yeah, I love the 8s and the 9. I love the 8 the best, to be honest. But
now I'll say on Stevie though, it's I love Stevie and Stevie is a genius, but it's really hard for me to envision Stevie being as big as he is without Double Trouble and specifically without Reese Wayans though, his keyboardist. Who is also one of the most prolific keyboardists I've ever heard. His list of people he's played with is just a who's who of the blues world. I mean, he most recently did work with Bonamassa. So I mean, it's that full overall sound. I mean, you can listen to Stevie sit down and play an acoustic version of the song by himself, and you can go, "Yeah, this man's a genius." But really taking that genius, Life by the Drop. Oh my God. But taking that genius and then plugging it into another group that is also world-class and not taking it over, but making everything even that much better, to me, is a bigger mark of a musical genius because you can have some serious virtuosos who cannot play with anybody else. So, and
That's
Stevie
true.
was that kind of guy who could literally play with anybody and make everybody sound better.
I love him. I absolutely love him. Like, I get choked up thinking about the dude.
Yeah, no argument. Stevie, I mean, look, Lenny was another one of his songs that he wrote for his wife.
Oh God,
yeah.
Yes, I love that song so much.
Wrote it on the end of a bed in one night after she gave him a guitar as a gift.
Yep.
Hit her and 2 friends. It's a great story.
Whenever
Uses every pickup.
Whenever I play at the edge of my bed, my wife says, "Can you please go in the other room?"
Or if she, what she says is, "Hey, baby,
Honey, this
take off
song
the
is for
shirt."
you. I'm writing it for you. I don't care. No, I'm just joking. Ubie, who do you have next?
2 yards is still in the house, so let's go with David Gilmore.
Oh God.
Okay, so I'm gonna go next. Jeez.
Seriously,
Yeah.
the feel, the spacing and phrasing of what Gilmore wrote in his soloing is almost uncomparable to any of the guitarists, especially of his genre and in his day and age. He specifically, he was the epitome of one perfectly placed note played the right way can be way more powerful than any phrase that you can put together, no matter the speed of it. And yes, a lot of people are like, wow, he's so one trick, and he is if you listen just specifically only to the Pink Floyd stuff. But he's got so much stuff that is out there, not specifically off of a Pink Floyd album. Especially if you can go back and watch or listen to any of their live concerts, which I recently have gotten into, because I didn't start out trying to begin my big push for Guitar Journey to basically become a fat 25% David Gilmore guy, which is what I ended up being, just because the style lended better into my level of playing at the time, and I was able to use that to learn phrasing and learn a lot of soloing stuff, and my style morphed into that. Now it's morphing out from there. I wasn't a massive Pink Floyd fan, and so I actually had to go back and look at his stuff once I started end up playing more in his style. And yeah, you got that whole, it's kind of samey and a lot of that Pink Floyd stuff, because that's who Pink Floyd was. They had a distinct brand and distinct who they were. But watching some of his live stuff and his live collab stuff, you can literally see that he was significantly more than just that stuff that he did in those. And more importantly, it pisses off certain members of our community by talking and playing it. So that's even more reason for me to bring it up.
There's a guy, his name is 2 Yards. His 2 Yards Esquire the third, or is Esquire come out at the end? Doesn't matter. He hates David Gilmore. Here's where I stand on David Gilmore. I am about as level with him as I don't have any opinion. Look, I'm just not a Pink Floyd fan, and by proxy, I'm not a David Gilmore fan. He seems like a really, really nice guy. I'm just not that into him, but I get it. Pink Floyd's a huge influence. It's one of those bands that everybody that knows my taste in music always says, you should listen to Pink Floyd. You would love them. It should be right up your alley. And I do, and I'm like, it doesn't sound good to me. I just don't like them. I don't know. That's just the way I feel. I'm sure a lot of people will lump him in as a musical genius. I mean, he is considered one of the top guitarists of all time if you look at lists and all that, but I just see that as, okay, David Gilmour, Pink Floyd, not my cup of tea. So, it is what it is there. I mean, Jeremy, do you have any extreme opinions on this one?
Yeah, actually, it morphed over time, because I did not like Pink Floyd until I got to college. Then I watched
started smoking weed.
No, I never. You know what? Oh, we can't even. Should we even talk? No.
This is a joke. Everybody goes to college, and Pink Floyd. You see the posters.
In an ironic twist of fate, I went to a party school, but I became a born-again Christian months before. So I ended up leaving for a small Christian school. But regardless, so what hit me about Gilmore was I saw the Wall completely sober and unaffected, and it was very visceral and difficult for me, to be honest. So I put it on the back burner, and then one day I hear "Shine On You Crazy Diamond" at work. It was on internet radio in the early days of that. That guitar work in "Shine On" blew me away, and I didn't realize it was who it was when I first heard it. So I'm a gear chaser. I look at people's signature gear to see, did they do anything to the community to help? Gilmore's work with EMG, the type of music he did, using stereo chorus effects, texturizing like someone like The Edge would do from U2. He was a texture guy. And he was doing that and creating a palette that I love. I just didn't put enough emphasis on someone who could create a backdrop of sound with things like echo and chorus and then create over top of it. So there's a bit of a minimalistic there, but he could still crank out the blues. He was immensely creative, and I love him, but I do see where 2 Yards is coming from. So,
I look.
Well, but also, just a real quick last interjection on it. Another thing that really is a hallmark of what you might consider musical genius is how many people list that person as an influence.
Sure.
And the amount of people that even like all three of us, especially Keith, for the people that we look up to, to a man or woman, if it happens to have a female that you like, will list him in their influences somewhere.
I'm gonna leave my opinion here. I as far as Gilmore and Pink Floyd, I respect what they did and how popular they are, but I'm just not ready to label that band or David Gilmour genius, a
There you
musical
go. I
genius.
mean,
That's
there's
a
a subjectivity to
I'm
it.
not putting David Gilmour on the same list as Jimi Hendrix and Billy Joel. Somebody mentioned Freddie
That's fair.
Mercury. I would even put Freddie Mercury above him. He's just not near that level to me. So I'm not gonna say that he's a musical genius. Sure, good, whatever. That's just my opinion. I'm not gonna put him in that same echelon. But that's just me. It's my podcast. I could have my own opinions, and my own opinions on my podcast are the correct opinions. Um, take that for what it's worth. But I'm gonna go ahead and do my next two. First one, I'm gonna say John Fogerty, musical genius. I don't think there's an argument there. If there's an argument to be had with John Fogerty not being a musical genius, then I would like to hear it.
I just think he might be aging out a bit. I think the newer generations aren't going to be able to get a hold of him because of what we've done in music as a whole. I think that sucks because I think he's brilliant and has a beautiful way.
I mean, Ubie, do you have any opinions there?
No, not as far as any negative opinions
Yeah.
for Fogerty. I don't know if I would necessarily. I kind of I view him a bit like you view Gilmore. I wouldn't necessarily put him on my list of geniuses,
Uh-huh.
but I also wouldn't say he sucks. So I don't have a problem with him being on somebody's list of geniuses.
See, the thing is with Credence, we talk about songwriters. That guy wrote hits. He had a knack for writing hits. He had a voice. He is not probably not the best guitar player in the world, but he could play the hell out of a guitar. There would be no Credence. There would be no that generation. I mean, look, Proud Mary and just it just keeps on going. You know, Rolling on the River.
Bad Moon Rising. Bad Moon
Bad
Rising.
Moon
For
Rising.
sure.
He's got a couple moon ones. And oh, no, a couple Rain. Who Stopped the Rain? And Have You Ever Seen the Rain? I mean, his it's just a every album that they put out in the '60s might as well have been a greatest hits album and a soundtrack for many people's lives. And the fact that that guy did it, and I don't know, like I'm a huge Neil Young fan, but I'm not putting him on this list because I would rather put in that same vein a Bob Dylan on that list over Neil Young. Although I love Neil Young more, but the thing is to me, John Fogerty. What was my point even there? Oh yeah, my point was John Fogerty wrote more. You know, he had more hits than anybody. I don't know. That's just pure rock and roll genius, in my opinion. That's what Credence was, and who wrote all those songs? That was John Fogerty. Without him, there is no Credence. And geez, that he's on my list. I don't know. I guess we heard
I think
enough
it's a
about
great
that.
ad.
I mean, then I have. I'm not gonna quite get to all five of them by the end of the hour. I'll say one of them, and then I'll say the other one real quick, and then everybody can finish theirs off. I'm just gonna say Stevie Wonder, yes or no?
Yeah, I love it.
Musical
sure.
genius. Okay.
Absolutely.
No
Yeah.
no need for discussion there for Stevie Wonder.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
for sure.
musical genius. But I wanted to hang on this one. Bob Marley. My
Oh
number
yeah.
one artist of all time. And here's my case for Bob Marley. I think that the saddest part about Bob Marley is the fact that the only album that 95% of people know is that, what is the name of that? The Greatest Hits Legend album. Those are all love songs. Those are all either love songs, and then you have Redemption Song and whatever. 10 or 12 songs that are greatest hits. The whitewash songs, so to speak, the cruise ship songs, you know, the love and blah blah blah.
Gosh.
I'm serious.
The Cracker Pack. Yep.
He had, 8 or 9 albums, full albums, maybe more than that. Every single song on every single album is good. There is not one skippable song on those albums. And the thing is 99% of people, I said 95, maybe that's closer to it, don't know those other songs. They don't know. They know Bob Marley is the loving this, loving that. What is it? One Love and Three Little Birds. They didn't hear Crazy Bald Head. They didn't hear Zimbabwe. They didn't hear just them Belly Full. He's talking about social things, social. We talked about politics a little bit in Brian's stream, I guess. He doesn't want to hear this. Go to a Bruce Springsteen concert, which, by the way, Bruce Springsteen's also kind of trash in my opinion, but that's for another day. I feel like Bruce Springsteen the way 2 Yards feels about Gilmore. I'll put it that way. But Bob Marley, every single song is good. It's a shame that people don't know his whole catalog, but Jimmy was always my number one artist, musical genius. But then when I actually listened to all Marley's albums from beginning to end, every single one of them, and couldn't find one song that I was gonna skip, that says something to me. He wrote all those freaking songs, amazing voice. Did you know how hard it is to play reggae on guitar and do that backbeat two on the 2 and the 4?
Yeah, that's brutal.
It just, I encourage anybody that has only listened to that Legend album, please listen to Catch a Fire, listen to not Uprising, Survival. My favorite album is Survival. I mean, front to back, musical genius. Didn't write a bad song. His greatest hits were greatest hits off of his albums, which were already greatest hits. That's my opinion on Bob Marley. I'll end it there. But are there any negative opinions there?
No, I think on top of his social views and things, he opened the doors of a religion most people don't really know anything about, and in Rastafari. Whether you advocate for any religion or not, when you can bring something to the forefront that nobody would know about unless you did it,
Yeah.
I think that solidifies a place.
I think not only that, people don't realize Bob Marley pretty much invented reggae. There was no reggae before him. There was ska, or what was it called? It was called I forget the name of it. And it wasn't ska. It was called something else. But he invented the genre.
Yeah.
I mean, in coordination with other artists. But there was pre Bob Marley, no reggae. After Bob Marley, there was. So.
Yeah, that's a good hallmark for a genius. I couldn't tell you another reggae artist, but I can tell you Bob Marley and have heard a dozen songs of his that I know it's him. So that in and of itself should tell you something.
It's a
about something.
It's kind of a shame. I mean, how popular he got to that genre, because he pretty much created the genre. But when the basis for his band, Peter Tosh, went on to say when Bob Marley died, I mean, they were friends and all that, but when Bob Marley died, the famous quote is like, "Good, that leaves room for the rest of us now." That's how big of a presence he was in that genre. It's just like
Biggest tree in the forest.
exactly. So that, in my eyes, epitomizes the musical genius that is or was Bob Marley. So that ends my list. So Ubie, let's go back to you and let's finish yours up.
All right, we're probably going to go a couple of minutes long today.
Oh, that's
Hopefully
fine.
everybody's all right with that. But I will hit quickly on one of these because I don't think either one of you know who this person is, at least on a personal level, and B, I want to get to my biggest one on the list, which I've been saving. So for me, another one that was on my list is Kevin Moore. I don't know if you guys know who this guy is. He is the original Dream Theater keyboardist. He was also in a band called Chroma Key.
Okay.
Yeah, okay.
And if you want to talk about somebody who is a virtuoso but would play with restraint so that he could take something, build it, and then make sure it works with everybody, go listen to Space Divest. He can bring a haunting, emotional texture to a band that everybody thought was nothing but a technical math rock, prog rock type situation. And because of that, and he was very instrumental in the majority of the sound of Dream Theater, especially early Dream Theater. And so he's the quintessential of that genius, because it wasn't just about what he was doing, but it was the whole band and the whole song and music in the entirety of the feeling of what the genre was doing at that point in time.
Then when did John Petrucci come along? Was he always there?
Petrucci, the guitarist, was there for, I think, from almost the beginning, if I remember
So you're
correctly.
gonna put him over Petrucci?
Yeah,
Okay.
because Petrucci actually he wrote parts of most of the quite a bit of the guitar stuff is written by Petrucci, but some of Petrucci's stuff is actually written by Moore. He actually it was a collaborative type thing. It wasn't just all straight from him. So he was also instrumental in their drum track, or not the drum track, but the bass tracks. No one is going to be instrumental in the drum track. Whenever you have when you have a fill named for you specifically in the drumming world, then you know you're something above and beyond.
No pun intended.
Definitely a
you got that one, Jeremy, right?
somebody
Yeah,
would 100% be my was like a quintessential as far as a genius. Now, the biggest one on my list, probably the biggest influence on me, maybe the unsung genius of 80s heavy metal, is Jake E. Lee. Because of the stuff that he did, he bridged the raw aggression of metal with just a bluesy based feel. He's one of the first people to do that, and he seamlessly jumped in. Think about what he did. He jumped in right after we lost Randy Rhoads with Ozzy Osbourne. You could say, you know, we need somebody to be Randy Rhoads, and he didn't, and he couldn't. I mean, obviously, because Randy is just Randy Rhoads, but he jumped in there and wrote some of the most amazing stuff, like "Shot in the Dark" or "Ultimate Sin" or "Bark at the Moon." The riffs on when "Bark at the Moon" starts, you know what it is. It's just one of those things that you can tell just by the entirety of just that opening of what kind of a head first roller coaster ride you're going to be in on. But he did so much with his changes and his movement and his chords and the like that I can't reproduce them. And not even because they're so fast. It's just because my fingers will not tie themselves into knots the way that he did. And the weirdest thing is, like, his grooves feel lightning fast, but they aren't. He didn't chase speed for itself. He chased the actual feeling and the groove that's in it. And then he blended so much. I mean, like I said, he blended blues, but he also had a lot of Eastern sounding scales in there, unexpected voicings for his chords. And there's nothing predictable about his solos. It's not just a scale run or just a quick shred thing here. It is just, to me, it's kind of one of the quintessential of being a genius is that he didn't just take something and played within the mold that everybody would have been perfectly okay with him be. He just said it and said, "No, I'm not Randy, and I'm not even going to try to be. I'm me, and this is what I am, and what I am is on par with what Randy was, different but on par." And I actually like listening to some of his stuff more than I like listening to Randy's stuff. I'm just going to be honest.
Yep. So we have 2 Aussies on your list.
We do. Is this a surprise to anybody?
No, I mean, look, fair enough. I don't even know who the guy is. I don't know any of those two dudes that you were on your list with, so I don't have an opinion. I don't. Jeremy, do you have an opinion? I'm not disagreeing with you, Ubie. So I just need to listen to them a little bit more. So I'll look for your guidance on that.
Yeah, I feel good about the pick. Going back, Johnny Bean covered Jake E. Lee in the same breath as they were talking about Randy Rhoads, and it was very eye-opening to me because you don't think about his contribution. Ozzy's name's on everything, but there are debates about things that Jake wrote that obviously Ozzy would get credit for, and he was an integral part of that crowd, and anyone that built up or added to the legacy of Ozzy is the forefront of a genre. I guess would be my feeling.
Fair enough. I mean, I'm gonna have to ask you for some stuff to listen to here, Ubie. So, Jeremy, what do you have? 2 more?
Yeah, I got two more, so I'll just go real quick. First, BB King.
Okay.
This could
Okay.
be a big long argument, but this is someone who started life as a sharecropper and made it as one of the biggest names. And in fact, if you say the word blues, there's a very good chance someone's going to say his name.
Yep.
He has the record for touring. He did 365 days one year on tour. Probably the record for Baby Mamas, or a record, easily.
He might be
But,
fighting with Bob Marley on that one.
yeah, it's one of those things where there was a simplicity about what he did, but what he is he is a bridge from sharecropping to British blues to modern day everything. Joe Bonamassa literally got his start as what, a 12-year-old sharing a stage with BB King. Maybe not his start, but that's where people really took notice. So I think it's fair to throw him on the list. You guys can debate that.
I agree. No,
There's no need to debate that at all.
no need to
Okay.
debate that. BB King. I mean, there's plenty before. You have Charlie Patton, Robert Johnson before then, but BB King brought. I mean, obviously Albert and BB, the three kings, Freddie, BB, Albert, but BB King brought it to the forefront. I mean, wasn't he in Blues Brothers? I mean, he was a pop
was.
icon.
Yes, he was in both of them.
Yeah, he's a pop
He was
icon.
both. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean,
Incredible.
and a blues icon. I mean, arguably the most important blues guitarist ever. I say argue. Oh, yeah, he
Gave a
probably
guitar to the
is.
Pope.
Yeah, no argument.
Yeah, incredible.
Yeah,
So, in my last name, this is another soup to nuts guy, Brian Wilson. I think it's easy to forget how good he was at writing, but when a man can command an orchestra, a touring band, the studio, he can write it all, he can do it all. The harmonic vibrations in Good Vibration and Sloop John B, even though it's a poppy, fun song, you listen to what people are doing when the music stops and the vocals are circling in these incredible harmonies. Holy crow! If it wasn't beach rock, if it wasn't surf rock that he was mainly known for, this is someone I'm sure they are studying in universities on how to create a texture.
Brian Wilson. Absolutely no arguments. Yeah, I'm kind of upset that I didn't think about him. When
I mean, you
coming
can
up with
you
this,
can make a case for him just off of the Beach Boys stuff,
Yeah.
and if you don't even take out any of the other amazing stuff that he was capable of doing, it's almost like he had two different careers, if you want to think of it that way.
Yeah, Snug, aka Snug Drawerson, just made a good point. Wilson, the only genius on the list whose genius nearly destroyed him. Yeah, the guy was kind of a nut job. But that's a very mean thing to say. But I shouldn't have said
He
that.
cooked
But
himself with drugs. That he nearly died because of drugs.
Yeah.
You're never the same.
I mean,
after that.
it's not mean when it's true. I mean,
he, I mean, there just was the album Smile and Smiley Smile. That's like been the
Yeah.
deepest, darkest. I don't know what the heck was going on with him, but he did put out some good music. I mean, Pet Sounds.
Oh my gosh,
If-
that's my favorite. Yeah.
If I was one of his brothers or in that band, I mean, I would have been like, "What the hell are you making us sing here?" But damn, did he put out an album that made the Beatles blush, and jealous.
It made
So,
them be better. They had to come back with a song like Get Back and go on the roof of a building, and it pushed John Lennon to become John Lennon, in my opinion, to become everything he could be, was that battle between the Beach Boys and the Beatles.
Yeah, and as far as composure, look, I mean, what was it? God Only Knows. The backstory to that song and how many layers upon layers upon layers, and he's just never satisfied with it. And it kind of drove him crazy,
did.
along with the drugs. Sad to see him pass, but yeah, he is the epitome of a musical genius, in my
I
opinion.
agree. And it's very difficult.
Yeah.
Those guys suffer. They suffer every day.
Yeah.
Honestly, he's in his own head.
Yeah. All right. Well, I just wanted to end things with if you have any more honorable mentions. I'm gonna go ahead through my list of honorable mentions real quick. I had Marvin Gaye
Oh,
on
good, because
there.
I was typing mine up in chat. So
Yeah, we
go
can speak
ahead.
them out. I have Marvin Gaye, Hank Williams, Neil Young, just because I really like him. Bob Dylan, he should be on the list, I think. Freddie Mercury was on my list. Quincy Jones as a producer. And the one that's probably going to be the most contentious at all these is Noel Gallagher from Oasis, because that guy is blue
No,
collar asshole of a guy he seems to be, could write freaking hits. And I don't know how he did it, how he does it. Well, I kind of know, but I I guess you might have to be an Oasis fan or a '90s Britpop fan to appreciate it. Maybe not, but that everybody knew Oasis when they were coming out, and he was just coming out with hit after hit after hit. It's just the last big arena rock band, which they're touring again. So that's my honorable mention list there. So Ubie or Jeremy, let's get through. Ubi was
My
typing it
honorable
up.
mentions, I'm embarrassed that it didn't make the list. Neil Peart, or Pert, however you freaking want
Yeah.
to say it. It's going to be an argument. But what he did for Rush, lyrically, philosophically, and then just his drumming, it made someone who's not a drummer wish they were a drummer when you could see what he could put together. And I think he was the soul of Rush, absolutely. Him, Alan Holdsworth, but you have to be a fusion jazz person to probably know a lot about him. And I'll end with Steve Vai. The reason I think he's a genius, not well known, his side gig with Zappa was hand transcribing every Zappa. That was one of his jobs when he joined his band. He had to put it all to paper, and he was able to do it. And when I saw that about what Vai could do, to be able to listen to Zappa and put it down in writing that's no small feat. So those are some of my honorable mentions.
That's pretty cool. Ubi, you want to mention yours? And then we'll get to our shills.
Yeah, let me get to mine. So my honorable mention, ones that made my list but I didn't put on the list to talk about, Brian May.
Okay.
Yeah.
That goes right along with
Freddie.
With Freddie, legitimately. Obviously, Steve Vai and Joe Satriani, they're kind of right together in my book. Warren DeMartini from Rat was also somebody who had some amazing stuff that I would consider somebody who I would consider a genius. Jimmy Page would also be on that list if I put him up there.
Well, that's going to make 2 yards happy.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. I also have Neil Peart on my list as well. Mike Portnoy, Dream Theater, obviously. When I was talking about the you can't write, Kevin Moore couldn't write the drum parts, because how could you write drum for when you legitimately have something called a Portnoy fill, and every drummer on earth knows exactly what you're talking about. And then we have the fills, both Phil Collen and Phil Collins. Both of them I would consider right up in there. Phil Collins, obviously more. Phil Collen, obviously all this great work with Def Leppard and Light. But Phil Collins himself is another one of those multi-instrument guys, and just was one of those people who literally had just a feel for music, the whole thing, that what makes music great.
Cool. All right, well, those are good lists. This was actually a pretty fun conversation here. So let's talk about what's coming up. Let's do our own shills. Jeremy, let's start with you.
Absolutely. So I'm kind of solidifying my schedule every week. Go over to StringsNPucks. Just broke 100 subs. Thank you. Please subscribe. So once a week I do a kind of an opinion piece. This week it was about USA made instruments, just from the side of someone who designed it and got it in production. The reality of we can't afford the things we value sometimes, and it's a shame, but it's a reality. I'm going to be putting up more live performances of original songs, and I'm still working on getting some gear reviews, but please stop by. I want the interaction. I know I'm not always right. I've been married 26 years. I haven't been right in 28. So, but I do want an interaction, and I just wanted to add to that conversation a little bit.
Okay. Ubi, what do you got going on besides every day?
Yeah, so I'm still streaming about 40 times a week. We've got Mondays at 8 p.m. Central, Tuesdays 7 p.m. Central. The Tuesday one might change. I need to talk to Ted because Ted was talking about maybe wanting to change his stream. That's the Tech Talk on Tuesdays. Wednesdays and Fridays at noon, and then Saturdays on the off days where we don't do the For the Love of Guitar podcast. I do the Embrace the Suck podcast. Next week, BBM coming up as our guest on the show there. And to circle back around real quick before I give it back over to you, Keith. Snug, Mark Knopfler. I've got a great Mark Knopfler story, not my own, but one I heard. When Weird Al did the Beverly Hillbillies parody, Mark, when he asked Mark if they could use his work, Mark said yes, but I have to play guitar. And he came in, they recorded the guitar, and when he left, Al was like, I have to use his guitar part, but I'm going to be honest, the guitar part we had already recorded for it is better. Ooh, that's painful. Anyways, just a little bit. Mark Knopfler was really good, but I don't think I'd put him in the genius level. All right. That's me. I've shilled.
Okay, cool. So, no, the only thing I got going on this week would be I have a video premiere coming out tomorrow. It's either at 11:40. I think it's at 11:45 a.m. or noon, one of those two. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. The next episode of this podcast will be coming out in 2 weeks, and that will be the 30th, the day after my birthday. I share the same birthday as one Mr. Searching for Tone, Brian. So I believe we're 4 years apart exactly. So that stream will be there, and I will hopefully have Jim from 3J Music on. So be sure to tune into that. Other than that, all I got to say is, hey, if you're not on ZZ Zounds or whatever it's called to buy anything, check out my channel. I have links to my Sweetwater affiliate on there. So if you're getting anything from Sweetwater, be sure to click the link on mine. If you're going to get something from ZZ Zounds or Zounds, then be sure to click on Brian's link or click them both. Just have a click party. So with that, I appreciate everybody out here joining us for the stream. We went on a little bit longer, so I'm going to go ahead and let everybody go that decided